the righteous Muslims, the Qur'an, and the month of Ramadan. This is our topic for this short lecture. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us all in it. Brothers and sisters in Islam, the righteous Muslims, amongst them, the Imam al-Shafi'i, rahimahullah, he used to complete the Qur'an 60 times in the month of Ramadan. 60 times he will complete the entire Qur'an in the month of Ramadan. Imam Bukhari, Imam Muhammad ibn Ismail al-Bukhari, he used to complete the entire recitation of the Qur'an 40 times in the month of Ramadan. 40 times. He will start from Al-Fatiha, Al-Baqarah, all the way to Surah Al-Nas and complete 40 times the entire Qur'an. Such is the state of the righteous Muslims all over history and in every place. You find Muslims in their workplaces striving within this month to complete the Qur'an. How many times will they complete the Qur'an? You find them in their offices, in the schools, in their workplaces, at home, striving and struggling to complete the Qur'an. This is the race that we have in this month of Ramadan. And this is the challenge that I give myself and I give you, oh brother and sister, in this month of Ramadan. How many times shall I finish the entire recitation, a proper recitation, in this month of Ramadan? In this month of Ramadan. Brothers and sisters in Islam, why did the righteous Muslims have this struggle and this striving in the month of Ramadan with regards to the Qur'an? The reason for this is that the Ramadan and the Qur'an has a very special relation. What is the relation between the Qur'an and the Ramadan? The relation is as follows. Allah, He says in the Qur'an, the month of Ramadan is that within which the Qur'an was revealed, a guidance for the people, and it has other proofs of guidance and criterion. Due to this special relation that Ramadan has with the Qur'an, the Muslims, they strive to recite the entire Qur'an at least once or more within this blessed month of Ramadan. Such is the state of the righteous Muslims with the Qur'an in this month, and such was the way of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhuma narrates that the Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam kana ajwadun nas. He was the most generous of people. The Prophet alayhi salatu wassalam, ajwadun nas, he was the most generous of the people. وَكَانَ أَجْوَدُ مَا يَكُونُ فِي Ramadan. He was most generous in Ramadan. From the reasons he was most generous in Ramadan, حِينَ يَلْقَاهُ جِبْرِيلَ عَلَيْهِ السَّلَامِ, is when he used to meet Jibreel alayhi السلام. وَكَانَ جِبْرِيلُ يَلْقَاهُ فِي كُلِّ لَيْلَةٍ مِنْ Ramadan. Jibreel used to meet the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam in every night of Ramadan. This angel, this blessed angel, used to meet with the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam in every day of Ramadan. Every night of Ramadan, he meets the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam and has a special meeting between them. What was the purpose of this meeting? What is the purpose? Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he says, فَيُدَارِسُهُ الْقُرْآنِ. He recites the Qur'an with Jibreel. The Prophet recites, Jibreel listens. Jibreel recites, the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam listens. So this month, even the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, they used to recite the Qur'an. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrates that the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he used to revise the entire Qur'an with Jibreel once in every Ramadan. And the year he passed away, he revised it twice. In the year he passed away, he revised it twice. Such was the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali rahimahullah, he says, in Lata'if al-Ma'arif, he says that these two narrations are clear evidences showing the virtue of increasing recitation of the Qur'an during the month of Ramadan. Clear evidence to show that we should increase the recitation of the Qur'an during the nights of the month of Ramadan. Brothers and sisters in Islam, let us look at the state and the condition of the righteous Muslims and the Qur'an in the month of Ramadan. Many instances have been mentioned by the scholars. Amongst them, Imam al-Dhahabi rahimahullah in his great book Siyar al-A'lam Nubala. He says amongst the righteous Muslims, the person called Al-Aswad ibn Yazid. This Aswad ibn Yazid, he used to complete the Qur'an every 2 nights. Every 2 nights he completes the entire Qur'an. He completes the Qur'an in Ramadan 15 times. 15 times. And he used to sleep only between Maghrib and Isha, this blessed man. This is in Ramadan. In other than Ramadan, he completes the recitation of the entire Qur'an in 6 days. In 1 month, he completes the Qur'an 5 times. He completes the Qur'an 5 times. The Imam Malik ibn Anas, the Imam of Darul Hijrah, the Imam of the people of Medina, who passed away in the year 179 of the Hijri calendar. He used to leave all classes. When the month of Ramadan comes, he leaves all classes. He cancels all classes. He says this is the month of Qur'an, and he focuses completely in the recitation of the Qur'an, in reflecting on the meanings of the Qur'an. As Ramadan is the month of the Qur'an. Ramadan is the month of the Qur'an. You have another man, Sufyan al-Thawri rahimahullah. He used to leave all his companions and all his colleagues in the month of Ramadan and focus completely on reciting the Qur'an, because this is the month of the Qur'an. You have a person called Sa'id ibn Jubair. Sa'id ibn Jubair, this is Shaheed, a martyr. He was killed by the tyrant Al-Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi. This man, he used to complete the entire Qur'an in 2 nights. In 2 nights. You have another man, Al-Walid ibn Abdul Malik. This man, Al-Walid ibn Al-Walid ibn Abdul Malik. He used to complete the entire Qur'an 17 times in Ramadan. Brothers and sisters in Islam, who is this Al-Walid ibn Abdul Malik? His name is Al-Walid ibn Abdul Malik ibn Marwan ibn al-Hakam. This man was the Khalifa of the Muslims. He was the leader of the most powerful empire, the Muslim empire. He was the leader of the Umayyads at that time. A Khalifa. His father was a Khalifa. His grandfather was a Khalifa. His brothers, his brother-in-law, his entire family was Khalifas. Yet this man, despite his busy schedule, he'll complete the Qur'an 17 times in the month of Ramadan. 17 times. You have another man, Imam al-Shafi'i, Imam Muhammad ibn Idris al-Shafi'i rahimahullah. He was born in the year 150 Hijrah, the same year Imam Abu Hanifa passed away, and he died in the year 204. His student Al-Rabi' ibn Sulaiman, he says that the Imam used to complete the Qur'an 60 times in the month of Ramadan. Once during the day and once at night. 60 times in the month of Ramadan, he completes the entire Qur'an. And in other months, other than Ramadan, he'll complete the Qur'an 30 times. So how many times will the Imam al-Shafi'i complete the entire Qur'an? Let's do that maths. 60 times in 1 month. 30 times in 11 months. That comes to 330 plus 60, it comes to 390 months. The Imam al-Shafi'i rahimahullah completes the recitation of the entire Qur'an. You have another man called Waki' ibn Jarrah al-Ru'asi rahimahullah. He used to recite a full recitation of the Qur'an every day. And every night he'll complete a third of the Qur'an. Every day he'll read the Qur'an 1 1/3 of it. 1 1/3 of it. And you have another man, the person with the most authentic book after the book of Allah, the Imam Bukhari, Muhammad ibn Ismail al-Bukhari, born in the year 194 of the Hijri calendar, and he passed away in the year 256. This man, he used to complete the Qur'an once during the day and at night after the Taraweeh prayers in every 3 nights. Once during the day and every 3 nights after the Taraweeh. So he'll complete the Qur'an 40 times in the month of Ramadan. 30 during the day and 10 during the night. That comes to 40 times that the Imam Bukhari, Muhammad ibn Ismail, used to complete the entire Qur'an. Brothers and sisters in Islam, this is the Muslims competing in the recitation of the Qur'an. They will read a lot of the Qur'an in the month of Ramadan. In the month of Ramadan, they will read the Qur'an, they will compete with each other in the recitation of the Qur'an. 60 times, 30 times, 15 times, 40 times. We have mentioned many examples, but a very important point, a very, very important point. The Prophet ﷺ, he prohibited the Muslims from completing the Qur'an in less than 3 days. Prohibition, the hadith of Abdullah ibn Amr ibn As, he prohibited him to recite the Qur'an in less than 3 days. But you find that the righteous Muslims, amongst them Imam Shafi'i, Waki' ibn Jarrah, we mentioned so many names, that they used to complete the Qur'an 60 times. They read the Qur'an twice. They have gone against the prohibition of the Prophet ﷺ. How do we reconcile these two? The statement of the Prophet prohibiting that we complete the Qur'an in less than 3 days, and the action of the people in that they were completing the Qur'an in less than a day. The Prophet ﷺ used to strive in reading the Qur'an in the month of Ramadan. The scholars, they say, the month of Ramadan is a blessed month. It's a month of Qur'an, a month of ibadah, a month of worship. If you're in a special place like Mecca, you make a lot of worship. If in a special time like Ramadan, you have to do a lot of worship. And amongst the acts of worship is the recitation of the Qur'an. This is the opinion of Imam Ahmad, Ishaq ibn Rahaway, and many of the scholars who from the actions you can derive that they accepted that you can read most of the Qur'an in the month of Ramadan. So brothers and sisters in Islam, this is my challenge to you and to myself in this month of Ramadan. How many times can we complete the recitation of the Qur'an? How many times can we complete the recitation of the Qur'an? For if you recite the Qur'an, one vowel or one alphabet of the Qur'an, you get 10 rewards. 10 rewards. Imagine the Muslims who have completed the Qur'an 50 times in this month of Ramadan, 60 times. So let us all compete with each other for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in reciting the Qur'an.